Hi everyone.
Hi.
I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed our kind of new background music.
Yeah, Hannah's been playing and found some music. So what?
Yeah.
Although it cut out quite quickly, maybe we need to look if there's a fade option on that, Hannah. Too.
But we can kind of enjoy a little bit of dancing.
Mark's been grooving. Grooving? That's such an old word. We sound so old.
How old are we?
Groovy. Oh dear. Okay, welcome back this evening to our online stream, church, River Church, online.
There we go. We're doing, but yeah,
got it in the right order.
Sorry. To online church, River Church online.
There we go. We've said it wrong twice, but you know what we're talking about. So thank you for tuning in. And being with us. We want to hear from you, so please don't let us waffle on too long without your input. Because
otherwise it's just us two talking to each other.
And we don't like doing that, so we need your help. Tonight we have got with us Hannah, who is our trusty, amazing technical person. So she's there. Hi, Hannah. How's the week?
Yeah, doing stuff, keeping busy.
Doing stuff, busy, typical week.
Yeah, good. And then also hiding on there, which let's have a look. We've got Tim. We've had a few weeks off Tim, so everybody, you need to give us some clapping hands for Tim.
Yeah,
we've given him time off, so he should be back with full energy levels today.
Is that a nice haircut, Tim? I see. Yeah.
We haven't got any sound from you.
We can't hear you, Tim.
Which is fine. It's the way we like.
We're appreciating the hair, the hair gesture. It would be good at some point.
It's a volume. Is that another little dry bit of his hair? The fact it's starting to thin out a little bit on top.
Yeah, cut it before people notice that it's thinning. And then also with us this evening, we've got Pat, who is another elder at our church. Hi, Pat.
Hi, Pat.
Hey, guys.
There we go. Pat has volume. That's good. And Pat is going to be sharing with us this evening about the difference that God has made through his life. So that is coming up. Hi, Charlotte. Charlotte's put up there.
Hi, Charlotte. Good to see you. We're big in Devon.
Devon sign in. Yes, I love it.
She might not be quite in Devon. But she's down there, southwest. We'll just say the southwest.
You are Devon, aren't you, Charlotte? Clarification needed. I feel.
Honiton. I think she's in Honiton. Which is
Devon, yeah, Honiton is Devon. Yeah,
definitely Devon. It's just.
We have a big Devon following, I feel.
Oh, it's massive. We're massive in Devon, Tim.
We're massive in Devon. We're taking over Devon. That's basically
Devon. One viewer at a time.
Yeah, Charlotte is verifying she is in Honiton.
Okay.
She is in Devon.
Devon, massive. Yeah, there you go. It's good. You get a bit of geography on online church today as well. Which is good.
Learn where various cities and towns are in the UK.
So now we can hear you, Tim. How was your week?
My week was good, Mark. Yes, it was good. It was good. I'm trying to think what I did. I was speaking at Eltham Church this morning. Of course, it was amazing.
As always. Oh dear.
I'm joking. I'm sure it was okay. I don't know. So yeah.
Tim was thinking about pride.
There you go.
And humble man.
Good. And what about you, Pat? How's your week, Pat?
Oh, I've been doing the same as Hannah, actually, just doing stuff.
Doing
stuff. So, no, yeah, had an okay week. Yeah, just been working actually and doing other stuff. Like youth group, it's a lot of fun.
That is my youth leader. There's a picture on this on the advert for this of Pat at the end of a paint wall. A colour wall with paint powder. That's why that picture is covered in. Yeah,
as opposed to Pat just like.
He doesn't just dress like that normally. Yeah.
I thought it was quite a good picture.
We've got Tracy is here as well. Another Devon person.
Keeps hitting 10,000 steps.
10,000 steps.
That's good. That's good. Tracy. I'm still trying to read. I read a few more chapters of my book this week. I've got one more chapter of my book. Well, I'm aiming to one book a month. I'm on target for January. That's good.
Yeah, you have 7 days left.
7 days.
That's
I did start the book pre-January, so it's kind of a bit of a thing. But yeah, this is from what's our kind of New Year sort of challenges we've set ourselves. That's good to see you still here, Tracy. Loving the update.
It's good. It's good. If you were one of the people that gave us what you were going to do for your New Year resolutions, or your New Year targets a few weeks ago, let us know how you're doing. We would love to know your whether you're hitting them or not. I can't remember what mine was. I'm going to the gym, and I've managed to go every week at least once. So go to me. That is my.
Well done,
That is
Alice.
I was telling Tim about your gym. I was telling about they validate parking.
They do. Orpington at the Walnuts. You can join Pure Gym and get your parking validated. Free. I think it's 2 hours it validates you for. So you can have a good old. That's enough time to go to the gym for an hour and go to Sainsbury's. Just in case.
Other gyms are available.
Oh, indeed.
Not the BBC. We could.
We're allowed to say what we want, no?
We should do. Yeah, get some.
We're not sponsored.
I'm not sure this is that relevant. This chat is that relevant to the Devon contingent, who are probably not that interested in Pure Gym in Orpington.
Pure Gym is all right.
To be fair, Tim, I don't know if that deal would work out for you, because it's only 2 hours free parking. You're the type of guy who works out for at least 3 hours, aren't you?
Look at those. Look at them. Oh my days. I love it. Okay. Good. Anyway, coming up this evening then, shall we have that up? Let's have a look at that. We have got a topic to chat about for you that we need your comments on and your input. Our hashtag this week is keep calm and ... is on there.
But it's carry on, we know it's
keep calm and carry on. What do you do to carry on? So when you are cracking on with life, or things get too much, or you just need some time for you, what do you do in that time?
Can I just say, it's our dog that's kind of a bit nuts.
Yeah, I'm not just randomly waving my arm.
Having a bit of a kind of some sort of like
I'm not
a health attack.
Okay, it's okay. So we've got Pat joining us, who's going to share some of his story and the difference God has made to him. We've got a song mixed in there as well. And then at the end, we want to have a time that we can pray. Either for you or just in general, we're going to have that time. If you've got something that you'd like us to pray about, or if you've got any questions or comments through the evening, then put them on the comments if you want to, or you can drop us a message on our social media or on our WhatsApp. There's a WhatsApp number that will come up on the screen every now and again. And there's people monitoring that all the time. So whenever through this evening or during the week, if you want to send us a prayer request or anything, please feel free. I might need to get rid of the dog. I'm losing my arm here. I'm going to start like.
But if you do have a dog and want to tell us about some of the problems they pose, then feel free to do it.
Yeah,
we started watching on recommendation. Dogs behaving very badly on Channel 5. Very good, very fun. Tim and Pat don't have dogs, so it'll be of no interest to them whatsoever.
I did wonder if maybe we asked people to send us pictures of their pets during the week, and then maybe one week we can have a rolling show of people's pets and their favourite positions in the house or something like that. So if you've got a pet and you'd like to send us a picture, do that. Or look out for a post this week that will be asking you to do that. Terry said Tim can only cope for 2 minutes. Slightly harsh but fair maybe. Okay, so Mark, what do you do when someone says keep calm and carry on? What's your carry on?
Oh.
Sorry, I just said carry on and it reminded me of the Carry On films. Not sure we should be.
Mine is keep calm and carry on praying.
Oh, he's so holy, isn't he?
Go again.
So holy. Amen. Hannah, what do you do?
Keep calm and find somewhere quiet to scream for about 5 minutes.
Good. Do you always go somewhere, or do you use a pillow or something to stifle?
Sometimes, yeah. Especially if you can't really go somewhere where you can't scream without someone calling the police. It's just scream into the pillow for a minute or two, just to get the frustrations out.
Good to know. Excellent. Terry,
don't post that. I'm not encouraging
Terry,
that.
you'd like sensible suggestions? Did you come up with a suggestion?
Yeah.
I reckon Pat's is carry on cycling.
Oh yeah, I love cycling. Mark and Terry as well. It boosts my ego. No,
The problem is Pat's a bit injured. He's got a bit of a poorly back, so he can't quite carry on.
yeah.
My thing right now actually is if I get quite stressed, just take a dog for a walk. That's actually quite a good benefit. Because A, it gets a dog for a walk, and B, it does clear your mind and get out of the house. Normally, I just get stressed with Alice and the kids. That's my main stresses. Everything else is all right. So it's just get out of the house a bit.
Oh look, Terry's now put up a good one. Drinking tea, keep calm and carry on drinking tea. I can relate to that. Love a cup of tea. Always tea. That works for me with sugar in it if I'm feeling stressed.
I just like snacks. Does anyone else? I just love, you know, when you're like, oh, I'm a bit stressed, I'm a bit tired, or let's just have a look in the fridge and see if there's anything in there that's nice. And then you go back to the fridge like 10 minutes later and think, oh, let's have a look in the fridge again and see if there's anything different. If you're working from home, you can do that up to like 20 times a day before you realise, no, it's just the same stuff that was in there before.
Here we've got one here.
That one definitely speaks to me, Pat. Or as a former uni student, that one definitely speaks.
Tracy goes and sees a friend for a de-stress. That's a good one. I like that. Go and see a friend for a de-stress.
I would say let it out. Let it out. Don't put it in. I always like to have a nice little outburst, little shout, little like get all stressed about it, and then you can carry on. I think bottling it up is dangerous.
Indeed. We do have a good let out stress.
We're
quite good at letting out our stress and then getting over it. Marlene's doing counting. Keep calm and carry on counting. I did the screaming in lockdown in the middle of a park. All my life. Hopefully there was no one around to just think you're having a breakdown in the middle of the park.
Well, lockdown, so probably people thought you was having a breakdown, but it'd be fine. It's
an acceptable time to have a breakdown. Plus really praying. It's good. It's good. I can't remember what Marlene's goal was. She had a good one.
Oh, so reading more as well, Marlene. Maybe it was reading that's not how you're reading.
Yeah, indeed.
Changed.
Brilliant. That's good. I can't think what else we do when we... Is there anything productive that we do? I could have thought about this more before choosing this topic, shouldn't we, really? Keep calm and carry on. So far, I drink tea and shout. Go me. Nailing it. Yeah. Nailing life.
Quite a British thing there.
Indeed. Okay. Well, shall we get Pat to introduce himself properly? I think. Let's do that. So, Pat, Hannah, do you want to make Pat bigger?
That's it. I'm bigger now.
Okay. All right, we'll let him stay. So, Pat, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit, and if you're brave enough, tell us a bit about when you were younger, maybe?
Okay. Yeah. My name's Patrick. I'm 39 years old. I'll be 40 this year. As you can see, my hairstyle is already ahead of that age. Feels like the rest of my body's about 50 at the moment as well. So, but there you go, getting old, not too fun. But yeah, I'm from around here, sort of. Grew up Shooters Hill, not too far from here. 5 minutes from Welling, 5 minutes from Blackheath. That sort of thing. Got one brother, 4 years younger than me. Mum and dad.
Better looking.
Yeah, I mean, some people do say that. Yeah.
I think most people would say that, Pat.
Well, I mean, I've got all the brains, I think. I think he'd probably dispute that. But yeah, all right, fair enough. You can have that. Yeah, so yeah, mum and dad. My mum's Swedish, full Swedish passport. She's been here for 50 years. She's been here for 50 years, but she doesn't want an English passport. She's very happy with her Swedish passport.
Oh, it's probably quite sensible, really. That's good. So when you were growing up, Pat, was your did you grow up in a Christian home?
I did grow up in a Christian home. In fact, my mum and dad didn't grow up in Christian homes. They became Christians from probably a lifestyle that was not very close to Christianity at all. In fact, my dad was a colourful character, someone who did some time in prison, and he probably deserved all the time he got. And he found God after that in the rehab, and really decided that that was the best. It was what he wanted to go for. God did something in his life and changed him completely from one type of person to somebody else over a period of time. And he married my mum, and I came along, I think, about 9.5 months after their wedding. So, yeah, so I was born into a sort of family where I think they were like really on fire for God, or maybe just pumped. They were pumped for Christianity. It was something that had totally transformed their lives. And so I was born into that sort of atmosphere. And God was great, and God was sort of everything we did. Probably up until, well, my dad was doing all sorts of different things. He went to Africa, doing mission trips to Africa. And in fact, when I was about 4, my brother was probably just born. My dad went to Africa with some other people, and they all got ill when they were there. And when they came back, all the other people got better, but my dad just never got better. And you know, they went to tropical diseases and all that sort of stuff. And it's after a while, I mean, he had this sort of like chronic fatigue syndrome. People might call it ME. I looked at what ME stands for. I can't even say the word, so I won't bother. But yeah, chronic fatigue syndrome is probably what's best known as. So, you know, sensitive to light, lots of headaches. If you overdo it, you can be in bed for a week. And he was sort of character who overdid it a lot. So I think from the age of 4, you know, my dad was in a wheelchair all the time growing up, and obviously couldn't work. So we lived on benefits. But my mum and dad still really loved the Lord. And it was times where we couldn't go to church, and we would have church at home, which was quite a fun little experience. When there's only 4 of you and you got the red book and you're all trying to sing, and it's horrible, but it was great. And then we did the bread and the wine, and when you're little boys, that's really fun. But yeah, that was sort of my experience growing up. That God was great. I loved God, but I don't know. I think my dad sort of consistently over the years just got worse and worse and worse. And my mum probably correct me with the dates and times, but I think probably when I was about between 10 and 12, I think my dad was my mum was obviously his main carer, and she was bringing up 2 boys and caring for someone at the same time. And the plan was that he was going to move into a nursing home for a short period of time and just sort of hopefully get a lot better and then come back and it would be great. And so he moved into a nursing home up at Sydenham Hill, which is 45 minutes away, hour away. And so, but he didn't come out. He stayed in there for a good 2 to 3 years. And in there, the care was really poor. The care was so poor that my mum had to go and care for him every day in there. And he went downhill even further, although many people were praying for him, and it wasn't really making too much of a difference. And I remember one like real key time in my life. My mum bought us McDonald's and took us to the park, which was a little bit odd. And she had a chat with me. I think she didn't take my little brother; it was just me. And she said, "Look, the nursing home have essentially said your dad's is gonna die soon. He's not getting better. He's going to get worse, and they're going to put him on these drugs, which essentially is going to take away the pain, but it'll slowly slip away. So that was sort of, as a 14-year-old, I remember sort of being presented with that information in the best way possible. At least I got a happy meal out of it, I suppose. It was I was really tough, and I remember going home that night and I remember crying and being really upset, and I remember praying this prayer, and you might think this is a bit odd, but I remember praying, like, God, if my dad dies, I'm going to hate you forever, and I'm going to smash all of the windows. That was my prayer, and I was quite upset, and I'm probably, but in my heart, I couldn't cope with it. I really couldn't cope with it. And I know that many other people prayed at that time, and my dad's best friend, Doug, actually, he was a head nurse in a hospital, and he managed to intervene, and he went to the nursing home and said, no, that he doesn't need to have those drugs. You can put him on these other ones instead. And he actually got better. And I thought, well, maybe God's listened to my prayer. It wasn't exactly the best type of prayer, but it was a real prayer, if you know what I mean. And I think from that, I just learned, like, I don't know how much I learned at the time, but I look back and I think God just wants us to talk to him, to speak to him where we're at. It doesn't have to be this, dear Lord, like, it doesn't have to be a set prayer or anything fancy. He really just wants to hear what's in our hearts. I think what was in my heart at the time was, I can't cope with this. And he met me where I was at. And my dad did get a bit better at that time. In fact, he got better enough to come home, which was really amazing. I think it took another 6 months to a year after that. And we managed to get him home. And I mean, his faith was really strong in God, which was a real good example to me. I remember when he was sort of dying, and at that time, and they told him, look, you haven't got long left, and he talked to me, and he all he really wanted to talk to me about was Jesus. And I remember thinking, well, okay, you're really putting all your chips in one basket here, like, it might be really real to you. And I think that really helped me to see what was important, and things became clearer in my mind as a 14-year-old, at least, anyway. Losing my track a little bit now. But yeah, I suppose just growing up from then, at 14, 15, into my late teens, and I really had a strong friendship group at church, lots of friends. I really found God in a real way, and I was far from perfect. And I told my testimony on Sunday at church, and I won't reshare that. I mean, you can go and look at the River Church video. YouTube channel. I won't go into it all, but really, I was far from perfect. But what I found was that God loved me anyway, and He didn't need me to be perfect. He just wanted me to follow Him and allow Him to work in my life. And I got married at 21. At a young age of 21, I got married. Thought I knew what I was doing. No clue. Still no clue how to be now, to be fair. But and I remember being 21, and I used to go and look after my dad, like, one night a week, like on a Sunday night, to help my mum out, because she would have to get up through the night every night of the week, which is probably isn't good for your mental health or your physical health. But and I remember at some point when I think I was 22, he started to develop some lumps, and they came and said, well, he's got cancer, but like quite late stage, he's got it everywhere, basically. And I just remember saying to him, "Oh, like, come on, Dad, you can beat this, you can fight this." And and him sort of saying, yeah, I'm going to try. And I'm thinking to him like a couple of weeks later, and he said, I can't fight this. It's you know, it was sort of his time. And yeah, I remember that being really emotional. But there was still a sort of a peace that I knew God and I knew where he was going. And it was very different from when I was 14, where I didn't really know God personally, and I couldn't comprehend it. But when I was older, and I remember it must have been, I remember we sat around and prayed as a family, you know, me and my mum and my dad and probably my brother. And I remember just praying like, Lord, you know, if you can heal him if you want to, like, and if you want to heal him, please heal him. But if you don't want to heal him, please take him. Like, and I remember like it was really funny because I was like, I don't know if they really want to, if my dad really wants to hear that. But I remember my mum was like, "Amen." And I really get, you know, like a real like. I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, all right, that's good." It was sort of like there was a real like peace about that where we were like, well, he knows, and I remember him saying to me, "I know where I'm going. I'm not afraid to go." And I thought, okay, all right. And he had a real confidence that the Lord loved him, and he knew he wasn't going to get there by his own goodness or the things he'd done, but he knew that God loved him, and that really touched me, I think. And I just remember that what God did for me is he gave me this. He only gave me as much as I could cope with, and at that time I could cope with it, and I had this real peace that like just came over me and our whole family, and we just knew. The Lord's got this in his hand, and within 2 weeks he was gone. In 2 weeks he was gone, and you know it was really sad. I'm getting a bit emotional now. It was sad, but it wasn't the end. It didn't feel like my whole world had fallen apart. It felt like, okay, he's gone, but I'll see him soon. You know, and I felt a peace in my heart, and it was okay. And I suppose that's what God can do for you, I believe, is if you come and meet him where you're at and you be honest with him, he'll give you the strength for the situation you're in, and he'll give you a peace in your heart, and he'll give you a joy that doesn't come from winning every battle that you're going through, but comes through knowing that he loves you and that he's got a plan for you.
I love that, Pat. That's amazing.
That's a fantastic story. Yeah. We'll play a song now, and then we'll come back and maybe we'll ask you a few questions, Pat.
A few more follow-up questions. Yeah, but thank you so much for sharing that section of it, because that's real, and that's amazing. So Hannah, do you want to pop up that song next?
Whisper of love in the day.
No, thank you so much for sharing with us, Pat. Just to kind of explore your story a little bit more and stuff. How did you feel then? Obviously, growing up really with a dad, like that situation where your dad wasn't around that much, or was very limited what you could do. I mean, how was that? How did you find that?
I mean, I never felt like I didn't have a dad or anything like that. In fact, I knew I had a fantastic dad. My dad was in some ways he was around more because he was ill. He was always at home. So when we came home from school, he was there, and he always wanted to hear from us and listen to us. So from that point of view, I didn't miss out on anything. I think probably certainly from a practical side of someone who's there, encouraging you, like maybe to do sports events or to see what you're doing out in the world. I didn't necessarily have a dad who could do that, but my dad was sort of he would ask some of his friends to do that. So people from the church to help with that. I remember Jim Bailey. Jim would take me to play football in the park, and he'd take me swimming. He used to take me swimming once a week. He used to irritate me by tripping me up the whole way home. It became a big game every week.
I bet Jim always had to win as well.
Football.
Yeah.
I do remember one time Jim was like, "Watch this, Pat. I used to be really good," and I used to think, whatever. And he went, and then he just scored a goal from the corner flag, like first time. I was like, "Oh, that's good." Like it was.
I wonder if Jim's watching. I'll break the text even if he was watching. So.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's where the church is important, really, and it's everybody's responsibility to step up and help each other when different people are going through different things. And it's without the church, for me, I would have had, a much lesser experience.
Obviously, you shared that great story of when you were 14, you were almost like super angry with God. I mean, growing up, did you feel a kind of sense of frustration with God for kind of allowing this to happen? And then how did you kind of deal with that? How did kind of God meet you through that?
Yeah, I don't know really. I like to say I wasn't a really deep thinker. I certainly didn't overthink it. I did get a little bit frustrated, and I did spend time praying, like, "Lord, please heal my dad," and it didn't happen. But I did think to myself, I'm the type of person that I think in black and white quite a lot, and I think I would maybe hold quite an arrogant position on people's illnesses if it hadn't been for what happened to my dad. So I look back now and I think, it really enables me to associate with people who are struggling, who are ill, or who have gone through a real hard time, whether it's their fault or isn't their fault. That God's love is available. And sometimes I look back now and you realize that, although God sets us free, and he sets us free from many things, and my dad was set free from 20 years of drug use. He was set free from smoking 40 cigarettes a day. He was set free from so many things. Although we can be set free from those things, sometimes there's consequences that we have to live with, and we're free from the devil's power over our lives, and salvation is in God. And sometimes he does heal us, but sometimes there's consequences we have to live with, and I wonder if that was part of his immune system wasn't strong enough anymore because of how he damaged it over time. I don't know, but what I do know is the Lord loved him, and it was part of God's plan, and certainly I saw that my dad was one of these people who was off here doing everything, and he would have gone everywhere, and he would have been in Africa, and he would have been there and here, and wouldn't have been around so much for me and my brother. And I look at it and I think, well, maybe God knows what he's doing. And we had a dad who we get to see every day and spent loads of time with us. And all right, okay, I wouldn't wish what he had on anyone, but it doesn't mean that God can't use it. And I think God can use us in our weakness. He can use us in our bad situation, and even sometimes where maybe we've sinned. You know, God can use that as well sometimes to show other people a way out or to help other people. And I think it's a Bible verse that says something like, what the enemy wants to use for evil, God wants to use it for good in our lives. And so we mustn't also write people off who are in a mess. God can use them. You know, like I've been in a mess at times, and God's used that big mess to help other people more than all my greatness. You know, and yeah, I think that's good.
I think it was C.S. Lewis said something like, God kind of whispers in our happiness, but he shouts in our pain. And I think, you know, as you say, sometimes when you're going through really difficult times, you know more of the Lord, don't you, in a weird kind of way than you do sometimes when things are easy. Your dad was a remarkable man, Pat, I think. I mean, obviously, I don't think Mark and Alice, you knew him. You didn't know him, did you?
No.
But he was a remarkable man. I mean, I think, you know, obviously, Pat and I have been friends for a long time, and I'd go and visit Pat. And I remember going to visit him in that home, the one where he was really unwell. And, you know, he had to have the room really dark, didn't he, Pat? Do you remember? It was just like, it's like walking into like this cave, you know. It's like it was Peter, like kind of, and he was obviously wasn't much of him at that point, but he had an infectious joy, didn't he, Pat? He had an infectious joy, and he was one of the most positive people I've ever met. Genuinely, I just think he was just so positive and just so upbeat and so encouraging. You know, you'd sit and you'd go into to visit, you know, basically here's a guy that's clearly not very well in a dark room in a kind of in a home, and he'd be like, you know, you'd come out the one feeling better at the end of it. And I think that's Jesus, isn't it, Pat? I mean, that was the thing. Jesus really didn't just change; it changed who he was, wasn't it? And he just, I think the other thing I take about your dad is that you can have a significant impact regardless of what your physical circumstances dictate to you. And your dad was a man who's had a huge impact. I mean, you know, the impact that you've had, and your brother Richard as well, you know, what God's used him for, you know, and your mum, I mean, the impact your mum's had and stuff. And I think, you know, actually, you know, he had such an impact on the lives that he was able to touch. And that impact, I think, resonates through generations. And I think, you know, your dad left a legacy, no doubt about it. And I think if I could leave, you know, just half the legacy or half the same legacy he's left, I think I'd be very grateful to the Lord, you know. And yeah, I'm just talking now, but I just rather, there's no question there. It's just a general statement about your dad, but it's a statement about Jesus, really. You know, your dad's life was all about Jesus, and I think it just demonstrates really.
It's amazing, isn't it? It is amazing to think that how God uses people in their different situations, and like Tim said, it's come through you guys. We have got Richard on in a couple of weeks, hopefully, to share his story, and also your mum is also lined up for this
We've got a whole Wakeford clan
season as well.
We should get them all on at the same time. Yeah. They wouldn't listen to each other. They'd all just be talking at the same time.
Don't get us all on at the same time. I won't get a word in.
I think to show the fact that we want to, because they've all got powerful stories of what God's done in their lives. As you shared,
and all different as well. All different stories as well.
It just goes to show, what a legacy your dad left. It's amazing. And so really, just as we're kind of coming near to the end, Pat, I mean, what would you say to somebody maybe watching this and maybe they're in a similar situation? Maybe it's a close family member or a close friend who's kind of in that situation, or that kind of, or even for themselves and their own health where it's not in a good place, really. What would you how would you want to encourage them?
Sure, yeah. Well, I think in a couple of ways, I would say God can heal you. You know, the story of my dad was that God set him free from tons of stuff, and he nearly died, and God healed him once, and then he did die another time. My brother's story is one where God healed him from death's door. And I would say, don't resign yourself that nothing's going to change. Believe that God can do something in your life, because he can. But also I would say don't sit there and say I can't do anything because of my circumstances. I can't do anything for God because of my circumstances, because that's a lie. God can use your brokenness. He can use you in the situation you're in, even though you might feel like you're the worst example. Well, that doesn't matter. God can use you anyway, and he can use your brokenness. And I think that's one of the stories, one of my dad's stories. I think that's my story too. And that's many other Christians' stories, that God's used them despite what they're going through. And he's used what they're going through as well. So, yeah.
Oh, that's great, Pat. That's great. I think the last thing would be great to short time of prayer, Pat. So maybe you could just, Pat, you could just pray for well, just anyone watching really who may be kind of in that place. Really good.
Yeah. Lord, we just come to you. Lord, we know you're a good God. Lord, Lord, you are the one who gives us everything we need. Lord, help us to learn that we can treat you like a father. We don't have to, like a dad, we don't have to have this formal relationship with you. We can be informal, we can shout, we can scream, we can let our feelings out to you, Lord. Lord, we can let you know what's really in our hearts, Lord. And the great thing is you already know, but you love to hear from us, Lord. Even the brokenness, Lord, we don't have to come to you with it all together. We can come and just say, look, I can't cope, Lord, and you will come and you will deal with us, and you will take over, Lord, if we are willing to give ourselves up to you, Lord. And so I just pray for anyone who's listening, that they would just know your sweet love, Lord, in their heart. Lord, I pray that you would fill them with peace and joy, Lord, that they would know that there is hope in you, Lord, and as they look to you, you will bring out, Lord, new things in their lives, and help them to have an impact where they are. Amen.
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 Lord, I want to pray for anybody whose physical circumstances prevent them from doing all that they would want to do. Lord, there's times in our life when we are limited. We're limited by our children. We can't do the things that we would want to do because we've got to take care of kids. Maybe we're limited because we're physically unwell. Maybe we're limited because we have to care for a relative, or maybe we're limited because we just emotionally haven't got the strength or the capacity to do things. But Lord, although we may be limited, Lord, in those ways, Lord, I love the fact that Peter was a man who didn't see limits in the same way most people did. Lord, he saw what was possible in you, Jesus. He saw how he could be used of you, Lord, and how, Lord, he could minister you, Lord, how he could pray. He was a man who loved to pray. And I just want to pray over anyone watching tonight that just thinks, oh, I feel so limited. Just pray that they would receive the word that you're not limited because Christ is in you. And if you don't know Christ, Lord, I pray that they would open their hearts and receive Christ and realize that Jesus can fill and satisfy in a way nothing else in this world can. I just praise you for Pat and his story, Lord, and just, Lord, I've heard it so many times, but every time, Lord, it just touches me in a new way, Lord. And I just pray that you would just thank you for that. Amen.
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 Amen. Amen. Do encourage you if you're in that situation, as prayers have touched you, then just to respond. Open your heart and just talk to Jesus. Pat says you can shout at Jesus in his mind if you take it. That's good. And of course, if you do want to get in touch with us, you can WhatsApp us, you can Facebook message us, Instagram message us, email us.
Any messages
you want to do, you get in touch. We'd love to. It's even just drop us a message and just say, can you pray for me? You don't have to host the situation. We'd love to pray. Yeah. So it's great. No. Thank you, Pat. For coming on. It's great. Much. Yeah, fantastic story. But hear your brother's near-death experience story at some point.
Yeah, my brother's got a fantastic story to tell. Definitely have him on to tell that.
We're trying to chase him. So if he's watching this, Richard, we need you in touch.
Come on.
Good. So,
as I say, we'll obviously this week's about dealing with that kind of difficult situations. We've got lots more stuff coming up over a few coming weeks. You can see some of them down the bottom there, and we've kind of got different people sharing their stories of how they've met with Jesus and what a difference Jesus has made in their life. So we've got all that to kind of look forward to. You can see at the bottom of the screen. But we do want to say that next week we're going to be ever so slightly different.
yes.
As a church, we've kind of got a special weekend. We've got a guy and his wife there called a couple called Dave and Sue Latham. They're coming down all the way from Liverpool, and they're coming to kind of speak at our church. And we've got lots of extra meetings on because they've got a really powerful testimony, and it's all about breakthrough. And that's what his ministry is. It means you can kind of come. He's really good at just being able to pray for people, and people being healed, people being set free, people coming to do it. We've got a friend who she came to sit here and speak about sort of 5-6 years ago, and he was just sharing that and said, I think somebody in the room, they're going through this situation, and he didn't know who she was or anything like that. We haven't prepped him, and he just knew exactly what her situation was. And it was such a key thing for her to know how much God loved her. And that's a key thing we're doing. It's a really important thing we're doing for our church. So we're not going to have online church like this next week. So at 8 o'clock, if you tune in, we won't get to see our lovely faces. But we're going to stream. We'll stream all our services live. But particularly, if you want to come in, either you can watch them or catch up or whatever. There you go. I do that. There we go. You can see those times. So it's 7 o'clock next Sunday. If you want to log in a little earlier and watch them, you can do. As I said, we'll be kind of there the whole time. So that'll be really good.
So they're going to be streamed live on our YouTube channel. So we'll share the link on our Facebook page, but actually they'll be actually streamed on YouTube. So the Sunday one is at 7 p.m, not 8 p.m. But they're worth tuning in for. And if you do live around here, then they're definitely worth coming to in person, because why not? Really? Why not come to one of those sessions? The 3 sessions means that at least one of them should fit for you. So rock up and have a cup of tea and coffee with us and chat to Dave and Sue outside of the meetings, but also hear his stories, really. The breakthroughs that Mark's talked about, they don't have to be big breakthroughs. Some of the things that Jesus sets us free from are small things that are everyday things, whether it's something to do with eating or habits or anything, right the way through to big things that really hold us back. So we're really excited, and we would love for you to be excited and come and join us as well.
But yeah, if you can't make next week, in 2 weeks' time, we'll be back at 8 p.m. as normal.
Yes, Tim had his hand up. You may speak. Tim was amazing this morning. Teresa, he doesn't need it. He doesn't need the building up, and we're not into this. Into this encouraging him to be away malarkey.
Good. Well, what a way to finish, with just inflating Tim's ego ever so slightly. Oh, there you go.
There we go.
Hopefully he wasn't joking. I'm suddenly feeling like crisis of self-confidence. Like, what if she was just joking? She
was just rolling out sarcasm. Oh, look, there we go.
Oh,
Dion.
yes, Dion.
Oh, amen, Dion. Go on, Dion.
So I was speaking at River Church this morning, and Tim was speaking at Ellie.
Do you think my dad was speaking? Do you think Dad was speaking down in his church?
Yeah.
Oh, Teresa, we don't need it. We don't need it.
You're welcome, Teresa. Teresa, you are welcome.
Oh, babe, look. Elbow cough.
No, I'm feeling it.
Sad times. I'm just using River Church Online as an opportunity to bolster my ego.
Well,
can I just say, I'm suddenly aware, right? There's maybe some people that don't know me, and I'm like, I am just joking.
Arrogant pastor in the world.
Can I just say,
Tim, your commitment to continuity is amazing. So the pre-recorded video, you're in a green shirt, and you've worn the same green shirt tonight just to keep it.
We did see that.
Unbelievable.
He just ran downstairs to do that music video.
By the way, if anyone's worried, I am just joking. I really don't think
he is joking. I can agree that Tim just
joking.
Yeah. I can confirm Tim and Mark were both rubbish this morning.
dear.
Good. Brilliant.
Right.
All right. Well, we're finished there. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching.
Yes, it's
That's
lovely
always
to have you with us. And hopefully we will not see you next week. We will see you the week after, but maybe next weekend we'll see you in person.
Yeah. Or you can message us on
Yeah, message us in the week.
Oh.
We're always up for messages and phone calls and chats and everything else. So, yeah.
Brilliant.
Get in touch with us. We will wave and say goodbye. Hannah, do you want to come and wave?
Oh, yeah. Hannah's been in the background.
Hannah's been amazing today. She's done the whole...
Especially this morning as our live stream kicked out because Tim forgot the power cable. So Pat and Hannah were frantically trying to find.
Can I just say maybe that was a tactic? Right, it was actually a tactic to sabotage the river stream so that they would have to tune into me at Elton.
Yeah. Oh dear. Never mind. Hey, it's all good. Right.
Have a great week.
Thank you so much, everybody, and we will see you all soon.
So, see you guys. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.